Welcome to GameVault HQ. Today, we're diving into the rich history of a seminal title in the real-time tactics genre, Commandos: Behind Enemy Lines. Released in 1998 by Pyro Studios and published by Eidos Interactive, this game revolutionized the way we think about strategy games. With meticulous planning, challenging gameplay, and a memorable World War II setting, Commandos remains a classic in the annals of gaming history. Commandos: Behind Enemy Lines was developed by the Spanish company Pyro Studios. At the time, the game was the most expensive project in Spanish video game history, with a budget of approximately €900,000. Despite the financial risk, the developers were committed to creating a game that stood out from the crowded market of real-time strategy titles. The game was released on July 31, 1998. It was designed as a real-time tactics game where players control a squad of 6 allied commandos, each with unique skills and abilities. The missions are set across various locations in Europe and North Africa during World War II, requiring players to use stealth, strategy, and precise timing to achieve their objectives. The development of Commandos: Behind Enemy Lines was an ambitious project for Pyro Studios. The team, led by designer Gonzalo Suarez, faced several challenges, including technical limitations and the need to balance the game's difficulty. Suarez noted that they wanted to create a game that required strategic thinking and patience, which was a departure from the fast-paced action games dominating the market at the time. In interviews, Suarez and his team highlighted their meticulous approach to game design. They spent months researching World War II history, studying maps, and watching documentaries to ensure the game's missions were as authentic as possible. They also faced technical hurdles, such as optimizing the game's performance for the hardware of the time. Despite these challenges, their dedication to creating a unique and challenging experience paid off, as Commandos became a landmark title in the real-time tactics genre. The game's development involved a significant amount of trial and error. Early prototypes were often scrapped or heavily revised based on internal testing and feedback. The team also had to innovate within the constraints of the technology available in the late 1990s, which required creative problem-solving and a deep understanding of both the game mechanics and the underlying hardware. The game is set during World War II, focusing on a series of covert operations conducted by a small group of Allied commandos. Each commando has a distinct personality and background, adding depth to their roles. For instance, the Green Beret, Jack O'Hara, is portrayed as a tough, no-nonsense soldier with a knack for hand-to-hand combat and stealth. On the other hand, the spy, René Duchamp, is a former French aristocrat who uses his charm and disguise skills to infiltrate enemy ranks. These characters were inspired by real-life commandos and special forces operatives, adding authenticity to the game. The game features 6 commandos, each with distinct abilities. Green Beret, Jack O'Hara, specializes in close combat and stealth, capable of moving bodies and climbing walls. His rugged background as a soldier in the British Army makes him the backbone of the team. Sniper, Sir Francis T. Woolridge, expert marksman, ideal for taking out distant targets. A former game hunter, his precision and calm under pressure are invaluable in critical moments. Marine, can swim and dive, skilled with inflatable boats and harpoon guns. His experience as a Navy diver allows him to execute underwater operations and handle maritime challenges. Sapper handles explosives, mines, and heavy weapons. A former engineer, his expertise in demolitions is crucial for sabotaging enemy infrastructure. Spy can disguise as the enemy, providing invaluable reconnaissance and the ability to mislead foes. His aristocratic background and fluency in multiple languages enable him to blend seamlessly into enemy environments. Driver, Sidney Perkins, expert in handling vehicles and heavy machinery, capable of using mounted weapons. His mechanical skills and knowledge of enemy vehicles provide a strategic advantage in various missions. These diverse abilities require players to think critically about how to approach each mission, making every decision crucial. Commandos: Behind Enemy Lines is known for its intricate and challenging gameplay. Players control a squad of 6 commandos, each with unique abilities that must be used strategically to complete missions. The game's isometric perspective and detailed graphics add depth to the tactical gameplay, requiring players to study enemy patrols and plan their moves meticulously. Each mission is a puzzle that demands careful planning and execution. For example, in the mission, A Quiet Blow-Up, players must navigate their commandos through a heavily guarded enemy base to plant explosives on key targets. Success requires timing, coordination, and a deep understanding of each commando's strengths and weaknesses. One of the standout missions in Commandos is Restore Pride, where players must infiltrate a German submarine base and destroy key installations. The mission requires meticulous planning and execution as players navigate their commandos through heavily guarded areas, avoid patrols, and use each commando's abilities to overcome obstacles. This mission exemplifies the game's strategic depth and the necessity for precise coordination between characters. Another notable mission is Stop Wildfire, where the commandos must prevent a train carrying V-2 rockets from reaching its destination. This mission is particularly challenging due to the moving train and the need to coordinate attacks on multiple fronts simultaneously. Players must carefully time their actions to disable the train and neutralize the guards, showcasing the game's emphasis on precision and strategy. Commandos, Behind Enemy Lines was met with critical acclaim. IGN gave it an 8.2/10, praising its challenging yet rewarding gameplay. GameSpot rated it 8.4/10, highlighting its unique blend of puzzle solving and tactical strategy. The game was particularly well received in Europe, where it topped sales charts for several weeks. Reviewers praised the game's attention to detail, historical accuracy, and the depth of its strategic gameplay. However, some critics noted the game's high difficulty level, which could be a barrier for less patient players. Despite this, the overall reception was overwhelmingly positive, cementing Commandos as a classic in the strategy genre. The game's commercial success was remarkable, especially given its limited marketing budget. In Germany, it spent 16 weeks at the top of the sales charts, and in the UK, it held the #1 position for 15 weeks. By the end of 1998, Commandos had sold over 600,000 copies worldwide, and by 2000, sales had surpassed 1.5 million units. This success was largely attributed to the game's innovative gameplay and positive word of mouth. Designer Gonzalo Suarez credited the game's popularity to its unique approach to the strategy genre, which resonated with players looking for a more cerebral and challenging experience compared to other RTS games of the time. The success of Commandos led to the release of an expansion pack, Commandos Beyond the Call of Duty, in 1999. This expansion added 8 new missions and introduced new abilities and equipment for the Commandos, such as the ability to knock out enemies and use distractions like cigarette packs and stones. Although it received slightly less favorable reviews than the original, it was still appreciated by fans of the series. The expansion pack also featured higher resolution graphics and new enemy types, including Gestapo agents and wild animals, adding new layers of challenge and complexity. These enhancements provided fresh content for players and helped maintain the game's momentum in the market. Set during World War II, Commandos Behind Enemy Lines immerses players in historical scenarios inspired by real wartime events. The game's missions reflect the covert operations of the time, adding a layer of authenticity and educational value. The detailed environments and archival footage used in cutscenes further enhanced the historical atmosphere. The game's historical context was not just for show, it played a significant role in shaping the missions and gameplay. Each mission was designed to mimic the strategic challenges and objectives faced by real-life commandos during the war. This approach provided players with a deeper understanding of the complexities and dangers of wartime covert operations. Accidental marketing success. Despite minimal marketing, the game became a sleeper hit, largely through word of mouth. It spent numerous weeks at the top of sales charts in Germany and the UK, significantly outperforming initial sales expectations. Attention to detail. The developers used historical footage and detailed research to recreate World War II environments accurately. This attention to historical detail not only enriched the gameplay, but also provided players with an educational glimpse into the era's covert operations. Challenging AI. One of the unique aspects of the game was its challenging AI. Enemy soldiers had varying degrees of alertness and would react differently to sounds and movements, requiring players to carefully plan their actions and use the environment to their advantage. Hidden Easter eggs. The game is peppered with Easter eggs and hidden details. For example, players can find hidden messages from the developers and references to World War II trivia throughout the missions. Despite its acclaim, Commandos was not without its criticisms. The game's high difficulty level was a double-edged sword, providing a rewarding experience for some while frustrating others. The trial-and-error nature of the gameplay required precise timing and planning, which could be off-putting for less patient players. Additionally, the lack of AI for unselected characters meant that Commandos would often get killed if the player was not actively controlling them. These criticisms, however, did little to diminish the game's overall impact. Many players appreciated the high level of challenge, viewing it as a core part of the game's appeal. The need for careful planning and execution set Commandos apart from other games and contributed to its lasting legacy. The player community and modding scene for Commandos Behind Enemy Lines have played a significant role in its longevity. Fans have created numerous mods and custom missions, adding new challenges and extending the game's replayability. Websites dedicated to Commandos, such as the resurrected Commandos on the web, provide resources and forums for fans to share tips, strategies, and custom content. This active community has kept the game relevant and vibrant long after its initial release. These fan-made expansions have helped keep the game fresh and engaging, fostering a loyal and active player base. Commandos Behind Enemy Lines stood out in a crowded market of real-time strategy games in the late 1990s. Unlike the large-scale battles of Command & Conquer or Age of Empires, Commandos focused on small-scale, squad-based tactics. This approach required players to think carefully about each move and made the game's success dependent on strategic planning rather than overwhelming force. Its emphasis on stealth and precision influenced later games in the genre, such as Desperados and Shadow Tactics. Compared to Command & Conquer, which emphasized base building and resource management, Commandos offered a more focused and tactical experience. The game's unique blend of strategy, puzzle solving, and real-time action set it apart from its contemporaries and left a lasting influence on the genre. The Commandos franchise continues to hold a special place in the hearts of strategy game enthusiasts. In recent years, there has been renewed interest in the series, with Calypso Media acquiring the rights and announcing plans for new projects. A remaster of the original game was released, bringing updated graphics and improved controls to a new generation of players. Additionally, the announcement of Commandos Origins has fans excited about the future of the franchise and the potential for new adventures with their favorite Commandos. Commandos Origins promises to build on the legacy of the original game while introducing new features and modern gameplay mechanics. Fans are eagerly awaiting more details, hoping for a return to the challenging and immersive tactical gameplay that made the series famous. The historical context of Commandos Behind Enemy Lines adds depth to its gameplay. The game's missions are inspired by real World War II operations, such as the raid on St. Nazaire and the sabotage of the German heavy water plant in Norway. By incorporating these historical events, the game provides players with an educational experience, highlighting the bravery and ingenuity of the Commandos who undertook these dangerous missions. The attention to historical detail helps immerse players in the world of World War II covert operations. The game's commitment to historical accuracy extended to its visual and audio design. The environments were meticulously crafted to reflect the wartime settings, and the sound design included authentic period-appropriate effects, such as weapon sounds and ambient noises, further enhancing the immersive experience. Commandos Behind Enemy Lines remains a landmark title in the real-time tactics genre. Its challenging gameplay, historical setting, and innovative mechanics have left a lasting impact on the gaming industry. Whether you're a fan of World War II history or enjoy complex strategy-based games, Commandos offers a rich and rewarding experience. The game's legacy continues through its active player community, modding scene, and ongoing franchise developments, ensuring that Commandos Behind Enemy Lines will be remembered as a classic for years to come. If you're passionate about strategy games or intrigued by World War II history, now is the perfect time to dive into Commandos Behind Enemy Lines. Share your experiences, join the community, and keep the legacy alive. Don't miss out on this classic gaming experience.